Hello, everybody. Welcome. My name is Charisma, and this is my healing journey. Oh my God. First of all, I want to thank everybody for such an outpouring of love and support on my last video, recalling my aunt's husband's death, who was one of my abusers. I'm going to link the video as well. If you haven't checked that out, check that out. Also, as always, like, comment, subscribe for more content and videos that I'm definitely going to stay consistent. And because this is my ministry, I've said before, this is my ministry, speaking up, having a voice, being the voice for the voiceless, or for those who are their throat is shut up, and they're just in a space where they don't feel strong enough or able or wanting to relive the trauma, because you do in a sense relive it. But when I talk about the things that I've been through, it's not to point fingers, it's not to hold on to it. I just want to let it go. That's all I want to do. And sometimes you're going to have a lot of times while we stay silent as survivors is because there's so much opposition when you do speak out. I mean, all I know is that Friday I put the video out about my aunt's husband's death, and then all I know is that the next day I started getting I was being harassed. Somebody, I don't know whose number that was, started harassing me, sending me sexually explicit pictures and saying, "Come on, you want this," and I guess they thought to get me caught up because I'm, just. I will put it like this: most of the abuse, the majority of the abuse that I've suffered has been sexual in nature, and the abusers, whether they be men or women, they objectified me and dehumanized me through over sexualizing me, especially as a child. And I know that this is the enemy using someone who feels that they know a way to get to me. But all it did was push me to do something that I should have done as soon as I left Indianapolis, and that was to finally get my phone number changed. So now the gang stalkers, the abusers, the harassers, the manipulators, they can no longer reach me. My number's changed, and it's like a load. It's like a weight lifted off of me, just to finally cut ties, just to finally shut that door, and for it to be shut permanently. I honestly, for so long, I had kept the number for so long. I lingered in Indianapolis longer than I should have. I lingered around the abusers longer than I should have, hoping and wishing for reconciliation. But I realize that you do have to go no contact with these demons, because if you continue to let them in your life, your world, they will only do this same exact things that they have been doing. These individuals and entities working through them are sick. They will not stop. It's going to take a miracle from the Lord up above for them to stop. And when you go no contact, stay no contact. That's the lesson I had to learn the hard way. You have to stay no contact. You can't play in these people's faces, because the next time you come back, they just might kill you. They'll hurt you. How many times we hear about women in domestic violence situations, and the abuser lures them into one last meeting, and I just want to talk, only for them to be killed, only for them to be murdered. I heard a story back from my hometown. It wasn't in Indianapolis, another city, and the wife was poisoning the husband. And just, they'll do any and everything to silence you. Anything, even if it means hurting you, killing you, maiming you, because they're going to come. If you let them come back in, they're going to come back and they're going to finish the job. And no, God has a calling and a purpose on my life, and I'm not ready to go yet. I'm not ready to go, and I'm not going to stop talking about abuse, about how to get up from underneath the abuse. And I'm gonna tell you how I escaped the abuse, not only from my ex-husband, but from the household enemies such as my aunt, my cousin, her now deceased husband. Number one, I had to stop. I believe when my grandpa died when I was 18. And then that's when the abuse, like they had been abusing me before then, in a lot of different ways. And I'm going to continue to tell that in a different way. I'm going to tell that in a different way. But the abuse escalated once my grandpa, and he was an abuser too, but he protected me from them doing the most of what they could have done. But once he was gone, it escalated and it was bad. And the only way that I could escape it was I quit. The first time I went no contact with my aunt, I was about 22, 23, and I would not talk to her for a couple years. I did not talk to her for 2 years. Other family members would say that they would ask about me, and she would go into long rants and, tell lies on me, say that I wanted her husband and I had tried to get with him, and just all manner of things to discredit me, to smear my reputation. But most of the family members who weren't just like my aunt and my cousin, they didn't believe a word. They didn't believe a word of it. They's like, she gets this light in her eyes. It's like she goes off on this tangent and you can't get her to stop. You can't get her to stop talking about you, as in me. And so she tried it a different way. She came in, and they come in again and they'll act humble, like they're sorry. They'll never say sorry, but they'll act humble, trying to get your guard down, to draw you back in. And, she only did the same thing over and over. I would make friends and she would go behind my back and tell the friends, don't trust her. You don't know who she is. You don't know what she's capable of. And would talk bad about me. And excuse me, I feel like a hiccup coming. And my cousin, her daughter, she wasn't much, sometimes throughout the years, like she would send me money on my birthday. And, I guess her way of saying sorry for this scar right here that she's the cause of, maybe guilt was eating her up because of what she had done to me and had been the cause of this. And I was 15 years old. When I tell you these people would try to kill you, would try to take your life, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. No contact, go no contact, stay no contact. And so she was never an issue. But the last time I saw my cousin was 4 years ago, when I was going through the midst of when I was living in a place and the landlord was harassing me sexually, and she told me, you're the cause of this. You're playing your music too loud. There's no way no 73-year-old man is harassing you, and just trying to gaslight me into believing that I was just delusional about the situation. But, that's par for the course. Then she tried to start a fight with me so that she could put hands on me again. Her daughter at the time was like 4 years old and was very taken with me and wanted hugs and kisses. And she tore the little girl out of my arms and said, "This is my daughter. You don't get to have her. She's mine." Like she was an object or something. It was really disheartening and weird and disturbing. And all I could do was pray. The only thing that made her back off is when I started praying. I just had to start praying. And I went to them for help. But, of course they didn't help, because look what ended up happening. Ended up going and marrying this man who ended up being a total and complete demon. But, I can't say that God didn't tell me and didn't warn me not to marry that man. But I was operating in the flesh and I was scared. I couldn't see a way out my circumstance. And so I did what I could in my flesh to prevent myself from being homeless. But there's always a way with God. God would have made a way. I didn't have to marry him. In fact, that prolonged my suffering. And if any of my trials and tribulations have taught me anything, is to trust in God. Lean not to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct their path. There's always a way out with the Lord. So I'm not going to beat myself up about it because I was doing what I thought I had to do to survive. And my faith in God was not as strong as it is now. That's something that you have to build up like you do a muscle. So it's a lesson learned. And that's why when I hear God's voice now, I'm more obedient to it, which leads me to another point in the healing process, because this video is about ways to heal from the trauma, trusting myself. Because what the abuse does over an extended period of time, you begin to not trust yourself because the abusers have told you you can't be trusted, and it's not about what you feel, it's about what they feel, it's about what they want. So you stop listening to that still small voice. You stop listening to your discernment because you've been so beaten down that you don't feel like you have a right to look out for you. So in my healing process, I've learned how to listen to my inner voice, that gut feeling that's wanting to do nothing but keep me safe. Number 3, and these aren't in any particular order, just as they come to my mind. I've learned how to put down and forgive. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you let these demons back into your life. You recognize them and understand them for being a demon, but at the same time, if God is telling me to forgive, that's what I'm going to do. And forgiving is about setting it down, setting this burden down. In the 2 days I've set this burden down, normally when it's time to go to church on Sundays, the enemy comes against me so hard. I get afraid. I just can't bring myself to go to church because of all that comes tumbling back is the church hurt and the times I've been battered within the church, not listened to within the church. And you know what? That's true. There is a lot of church hurt, but it's not these people I'm looking for when I go to church. It's a connection with God that I'm looking for. And now I'm an hour early for church. On this beautiful Sunday morning, the sun is beaming down. I'm an hour and 15 minutes early for church service. And I couldn't be more ecstatic. And that's because I made the choice to forgive. Now I can go to church with a clean heart and a spirit that's yearning for the Lord and what he has to say to me and what message he has for me. So that's part of my healing. Pouring into myself, being my own best friend, being my own parent. That goes hand in hand with listening to your inner voice, but it also goes beyond that, like figuring out what I like. I was, for so long, I lived for what other people wanted me to be, what they saw me as. I saw myself through the lens of my abusers, and it was a distorted image. It was one that said I wasn't worthy. I was good for nothing other than what was between my legs, or to be used and abused somehow, some way. Now I look at myself the way God sees me. He said I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. All these gifts that he's placed down on the inside of me, I'm starting to discover them, explore them, utilize them. Starting to love myself, because if nobody else loves me, I'ma love me. That's an act of resistance right there, loving yourself, especially in a world, I'm a woman, I'm a Black woman, that says we ain't good for nothing. I'ma still love myself regardless of what the world says. That's the least I can do. If nobody ever loves me or accept me, I love me, I accept me. That's the resistance right there. I'm tired. I'm not gonna let these people live rent free in my mind anymore. I'm not. And another thing that I'm doing to heal is this YouTube ministry, like finding something that gives me joy, finding something I really like to do. As far as a hobby, as far as something that gives meaning to my life. And reaching out for the support, even though it's virtual, it means the world to me. I haven't had people say such nice, kind things to me and forever. I can't remember people being so encouraging to me before I started going and posting on YouTube. And that in turn gives me the strength to try to seek out the support that I need in the flesh, physically, like for instance, going to church, going to a support groups, going to therapy, and going to group therapy, and just doing the things I need to do to heal. These are some things that I'm doing on my healing journey. And these are things I'm going to continue to do. First and foremost, going no contact going, just shutting that door entirely so that the household enemies can no longer reach me. You know, they mad right now. It's a war. Just everything that happens here on earth is a reflection of the war between Satan and Jesus that's happening up above. And it's a war up there, and that war is manifesting itself in the resistance to my healing, to me speaking up, to me speaking out, and intimidation. It will turn into intimidation. That's why I'm getting these harassing texts and phone calls until I took my power back and got my number changed. And anything other than that, I've had to get restraining orders on tormentors before, and I'll do the same thing again. So watch who you play with, because it's not that at all. I'm not that scared little girl no more who cowered, who took the abuse. I'm proactively a full participant in my healing, and I will do what it takes to protect myself from these evil individuals, entities, gang stalkers, demonic forces. And you think this is a game, but it's too many people out here are dead. So when I tell you, don't go back, close all them doors, I mean that. And I can't sit up here and not practice what I'm preaching, because I had to do it. And it's freeing. It freed me up to be able to pursue and be who God wants me to be. And for that, I'm forever thankful. So yeah, that's what we have today. Stay tuned. I have some more content that I'm going to be pushing out. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. I need your guys' help. I need you to subscribe to this channel. I need you to like. I need you to comment, okay? I need you to come into my lives. Any and all donations to my Cash App that is on my homepage is welcomed, and that's supportive in helping me to continue posting the content. I thank you and I love all of you from the bottom of my heart. Once again, this is Charisma, and this is my healing journey. Bye. Peace.